We always said great things don't come from comfort zones. I think that if I were to explain Tommy to you guys in college, like the first thing comes to mind, free spirit. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I want kids now.
Crazy, huh? So the grass that we're standing on.
Exactly.
On this side.
What rapper can you find in a toolbox?
No MSR. Sorry, guys.
People. ASMR.
ASMR. So I said it right?
No.
ASMR.
Okay, let's dive in. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to It's a Win-Win Wednesday. My name is Sopha Nguyen, and this is my friend Chelsea. We're so excited to have her on the podcast. If you guys are new here, obviously this is maybe what you think is normal, but my husband and I, his name is Tommy, we normally are the host of It's a Win-Win Wednesday, and we have a special guest today. And so I'm excited to introduce my friend Chelsea Johnson. Chelsea, we're so excited that you're here.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
And if you guys have read the title, you know that we are talking about the differences between Georgia or the South and the Bay Area, because my friend Chelsea is from Georgia. If you can't tell by her shirt, if you guys are watching on YouTube, she's wearing a Georgia shirt. Is it Georgia? Is it just
Georgia Bulldogs?
Okay.
Go Dogs.
Okay.
UGA, University of Georgia.
Okay, I was like, school. I am not a sports. I'm like, there's a dog. Okay, so that's a college in Georgia.
Yeah, so there's two, there's University of Georgia and Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Huge rivals.
Okay.
So, but UGA.
Good to know.
Gotta represent.
Go UGA, let's go.
Yes.
And so I wore my Bay Area shirt because we thought it would be fun. And so I just want to introduce my friend Chelsea to you guys. So Chelsea is really special. It's so crazy. So I thought I had been friends with Chelsea for years. But then I learned a couple days ago that I met her the beginning of this year.
Yes.
So Chelsea and I have been friends for 8 months. Is that right?
Yeah, it's August.
I don't, it's crazy how fast like our friendship, it just like was so natural and it was easy. And I met her through church at Eden, and she's married to her husband, Chamberlain, he's probably watching this video as on YouTube, hopefully, or listening on the podcast. Chamberlain hasn't been on the podcast yet, but that could be something in the future. He is pretty awesome. And the fun thing about Chelsea and Chamberlain is they've been married the same time that Tommy and I have been married, just about.
Yeah, I think we had like a 2-week difference in our anniversaries.
And we were strangers at the beginning of this year, and now we are really, really good friends, and I'm so thankful. So, Chelsea, what brought you here to the Bay Area?
Yeah, so my husband and I are both travel nurses, and we came for a contract in January of 2021 to the Bay Area, and we were here for that specific contract from January to June, and went back to Georgia actually for the past 6 weeks, and didn't know what the next contract had in store. And so we were praying that the door would open back to the Bay Area, but didn't know. So then here we are. We got another contract out here.
Yeah.
So.
And it's been less than a week since you've been back.
Yeah, we flew in last Wednesday.
So I love that. So you had a contract for 5 months. 5 months. And then you had to go back because your contract was over. And I remember that moment being so sad for us where I was like, I have no idea when I'm going to see her again. And she lives all the way across the country. So where in Georgia exactly?
So we live northeast of Atlanta, about 45 minutes outside of like downtown. Very suburban, not like downtown Atlanta feel.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm from the suburbs of Indiana, and I love that. So suburban life, like subdivisions, those things, it's very comforting to us. And so moving from Atlanta, basically, right, to you technically lived in Cupertino when you first moved here, and then you moved to Sunnyvale. But essentially, she's been in Silicon Valley. So I thought it'd be fun on today's podcast to talk about the differences that Chelsea has experienced. And she's only lived here for less than a year, right? And specifically in Silicon Valley, Bay Area. And so that's what she's going to base her answers upon. But then, she's traveled. She's an adventurer. She likes to, this girl, she reminds me so much of Jackie. And I think that's what connected us so easily and naturally is because I just saw so much of Jackie in her, and Chelsea likes to adventure. She'll get me out of my comfort zone when I feel like it's the end of the world to go do something and socialize when really it's not that big of a deal. She'll get me out there. And it reminds me so much of Jackie and I's friendship in college. And I think that God knew what he was doing when he brought this couple to San Jose, basically, because I don't know. I always talk about how hard it is for me living here and how I don't have family. I talk about that a lot in the podcast. And a huge reason on why It's a Win-Win exists is to connect people in because a lot of us can feel isolated in the places that we live. But it's like God knew, I don't know, a couple who is in this. I mean, you guys are younger than us, but you've been married the same amount of time, basically. You're not from here, but we have a lot in common, but a lot not in common. And so one of the podcasts that did really well on It's a Win-Win was the differences between the Midwest and the Bay Area. And so I thought for Chelsea, she could talk about Georgia versus NorCal. So let's see. Let's dive in. Were you surprised at all by the diversity here? So I can give you my answer.
Yeah.
And you can answer. So being from Indiana, again, I can only speak on Indiana. I don't know where it is, like the rest of the place, the U.S. I was one of the few Asians, if not the only Asian in my class.
Yeah.
And in high school, I got better. I mean, shout out to my friend Andrew, if you're watching this. We were like the two Asian people in a lot of our classes. And we became really good friends and then went to Purdue together. So it was really special. But I was just used to being around, honestly, a lot of white kids. And that was just my normal. And when I moved to the Bay Area, I was actually really shocked to see Asian people everywhere, Asian stores, Asian restaurants. And I never in my life was the majority.
Yeah.
So that was a huge, huge shock.
Yeah.
When I moved here. So curious on your experience. Blonde hair, blue eyes, Georgia
Definitely,
girl.
Yeah. I kind of had a similar experience with as far as like being like we had maybe 2 to 3 Asian kids in our class growing up.
Ooh, shout out to me. That would have been me, basically.
Yeah. And always loved them. Like it was great. But I genuinely, I don't know. I guess didn't do research on demographics before moving here. Though I don't I'm surprised Chamberlain didn't know because he's a lot more aware of those kind of things. But yeah, I had zero idea. But it's been the coolest just to learn about different cultures that there are pockets of like Asian communities in Atlanta.
For sure.
But I think when we had, no like very minimal Asian influences to show us all the Asian foodie things that we've experienced here, we didn't really dive into those different like food experiences in Atlanta. So though I know they may be there in the Bay Areas where we've really like truly experienced awesome Asian culture and learned so much about all the things. So yeah, that's been super fun and unexpected. So
it was different. It
definitely
shocked
different.
You.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I love about Chelsea and her husband Chamberlain, which hopefully you guys will meet on It's a Win-Win. Maybe we'll do a vlog or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I think you guys are a big part of our life, just like Jackie and Nico is. And I just feel like we want the world to see, who our friends are. One thing about them that I appreciate is that they have always just been open-minded. And I think that's something I appreciate about them because for me, it was a huge shock. But then I was like, we're just going to make the best of it. And I felt like you were the same way. Yeah. It's like we were shocked by prices, diversity, food. And then we're just like, well, this is what's in front of us. Let's make the best of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys definitely did that.
Thank you.
So what is one thing that shocked you when you moved here?
I would say right off the bat, the gas prices.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that too. Yeah. At least we drive cars that take regular gas.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Praise God.
Yeah. Well, we moved here and we only had a car that took premium.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Even more
That was
of a shock.
Rough. That was rough. So prices in general shocked you.
Yeah, I think definitely gas prices were the biggest shock because it was like at least $1 more.
Yeah.
Let's see. The food experience here definitely was a
shock.
a shock. I had never had boba in my life.
You guys
I
hear
didn't
that?
even really know what boba was. And I also thought it was like just talking about like the tapioca balls.
Because it
I didn't know.
technically is
Right.
that. So you should not feel bad about that. Because what I will say is one difference between the Midwest and West Coast is that they say bubble tea.
Yeah.
And here they say boba. So.
Yeah, definitely thought boba just referred to those like circular.
But if we're being
balls.
literal, it is accurate.
True.
So you had boba for the first time, a lot of Asian food for the first time.
Yes.
Like dim sum, Vietnamese food, Korean
on the Vietnamese food, I totally thought pho was pronounced pho.
That's okay.
So
that's okay.
Admission.
There is no shame with that. But now you know it's pho.
And I'd never had it before until we came to the Bay Area.
Amazing. Well, I got to take you to another pho place that I think you'll really like because I tried some pho recently and it was fire.
Okay, I'm down.
And she loves Korean barbecue.
Oh, yes.
So if you guys know any good Korean barbecue places in the Bay or anywhere else or in Georgia, because, you know,
that's true.
She'll be back there.
Shout it out.
Write it in the comments. Let us know any Korean barbecue places. So food was a shock.
Yes.
Not a shock, but a difference.
Yeah. I think just the amount of like different Asian food. And I don't think that I even probably knew that pho was Vietnamese, which sounds like I was very ignorant, but I didn't know.
I don't think that's ignorant at all, honestly, because how are you supposed to know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not common knowledge,
Right.
I don't think, right? You just see it outside of the restaurants. How are you supposed to know it's Vietnamese?
Yeah, that's true. I guess I knew Korean barbecue was Korean barbecue because
It's called
Korean barbecue. So that one helped me a little more.
Even dim sum, you know. You
I
don't
had
know.
no idea what dim sum was.
So I love that you've been open to Asian food. I love taking her to, we call them like foodie adventures.
Yes.
Chelsea's ate chicken feet at dim sum, and I'm like, that's the type of like adventure, and you can even say brave, but she doesn't overthink stuff of the sense of like, oh, what am I about to eat? Like, this is going to be good. She just goes for it. And like fish and seafood and like
pork intestine.
Yeah, pork intestine.
Pork cheek, which Jiao is fire.
See what I mean? And we go to like these amazing taco trucks, and it's just like,
yeah.
It's always fun for us to have friends that are just open like that because it challenges us to also get out of our comfort zone. Because like I don't really go to dim sum, mostly because we went in Chicago with Tommy's parents, and I was just like, I mean, it was okay, but I'd rather just get pho. But then now that I have a friend that likes dim sum, wants to try it, I'm more open to it, and so we're probably gonna go to Din Tai Fung's at some point.
Yes.
Which I do like Din Tai Fung, but I'm like, maybe I can go to another dim sum place because you went yesterday.
Yeah, we went to Newport restaurant yesterday.
How was it?
It's good. From what I understood, Newport is more of the like, I guess, lower, like cheaper dim sum, and then Din Tai Fung kind of sounds like more of the higher end, which I would love to experience that too.
Well, we'll have to ask Chelsea on Instagram. We'll maybe do like a story or something of her explaining the difference between the Newport one and Din Tai Fung and which one's better. Because there has to be a difference, and I think people want to know.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
I don't know. I'm not like gung-ho about dim sum, but maybe this will change my mind with you. Because I feel like I can also learn from you when it comes to Asian food. Because I tend to stick in my comfort zone because what pains me is spending money on food that isn't good.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
So food is one. How about, Chelsea and I kind of ran through some of the things she's going to talk about. So I have some things in mind. I remember Easter Sunday was...
Oh, Lord.
Yes. So with church being online, basically the whole time you were here, she had one drive-in service that her and her husband went to, but that was a drive-in service. And so, and they came from work, and I think they were in work clothes.
Yeah, we were in our scrubs for
yes.
sure.
And so also I forgot to mention how you and I actually connected originally. So I can share that story. So it's really fun. So Tommy and I lead it's like a Bible study, a small group, however, some people call it different things, during the week. And I saw Chelsea and Chamberlain's name come through the sign up form, and I saw Johnson as their last name. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen this name since Indiana. Like, that's just being honest. I was like, it was exciting to me. And the thing is, when people sign up for anything, for Soul Gold, through Eden, whatever it is, I'm going to look you up online because I
gotta do your stalking.
Gotta do the stalking. Yeah. I'm like, I gotta know that these people are real, because Chelsea and Chamberlain Johnson, I mean, Chelsea Johnson, I'd say, you know, that could be anybody, right? Chamberlain, I think, is easier but then he goes by Champ. So I'm not going to find Chamberlain Johnson on Facebook as easily. And I didn't know they're from Georgia. So I had nothing to search.
Probably didn't find anything.
Absolutely did not find anything. Well, I typed in Chelsea Johnson, San Jose, and I'm like, no, I don't think I found anything. And if I did, I don't remember, because when I met them, nothing like rang a bell. I was like, oh, those are the ones I searched online. So I saw their name come through. I got excited because someone joined our group, and I think you guys are one of the first, because this girl's a planner. She likes to get things ready. She knows what she wants to do, and she will make it happen. Yeah. It's one thing I love about her. So she signed up for the group early, and I was like, sweet. I believe it was early. I think it was, because
it was
very memorable to me when people sign up. And so basically we connected at church, 4-year anniversary drive-in, and that was it was fun. So that was technically her first service, but then we had all online service up until Easter. So that was February 14th. I met her on Valentine's Day. And then Easter, which was April 4th, I believe.
Yep.
Or April 12th or something. 4th.
Something like that.
Yeah. So basically the beginning of April. And so they got to come to church for the first time. They like magically had this day off, right, from work. And they were working at is it called a vaccination
clinic? Yeah.
Okay. I clearly am not in her field of work.
You did great.
Okay. I always say vaccination clinic, but I'm like, I don't know if that's the right word.
It's called a Vax clinic. There's
clinic.
many.
So Chelsea and Chamberlain were working on Sunday, but then they had a free Sunday and they came to church on Easter, which is like, that was really special. So it was your first time at church. Special. So tell us more about that.
So yeah, we were first time away from family on Easter. So that was a very
hard,
difficult thing that we were missing our family, but, Easter in the South, well, Easter Sunday specifically, I should say, is like I guess growing up when I was younger, you go like Easter dress shopping, and that was like a cute mother-daughter thing that you did. I didn't do that this past year. I've like kind of probably outgrown the like you have to get a new dress for Easter. However, most Easter dresses are very bright and colorful, like your pinks and blues, pastels. Yeah. So I had like something I find stylish. It was not like super, out there as far as like a bright pink thing, but I wore like a pastel blue dress.
I remember it was longer.
Yeah, right? It was longer.
Cute. It had some buttons on it.
It was from a boutique in Georgia. Yeah. Like I liked that dress.
It's cute.
Thank you. And Chamberlain wore like a polo, kind of like striped blue and white shirt. I think he had jeans on. He probably didn't have khakis on.
It wasn't khakis. I have a pic. So the funny thing about what I do at Eden is I manage all the photos that we have and stuff. And I'm like, trying to like remember what he was wearing.
Maybe it was khakis.
I feel like you had a cardigan on too.
I did.
That's how like crazy detailed cardigan. I have this like in my mind of the photos we go through. It's wild. But jeans, he either had jeans or khakis.
Yeah,
probably
one of the two.
You probably know more than I do. But anyway,
I can't remember. Yeah. But we walk into church and immediately I'm like, we're definitely dressed like very bright, on the borderline of looking like an Easter egg compared to all these Bay Area people.
I was wearing
a black like
leather jacket with sneakers and jeans.
Definitely. I think you had a white shirt on under it, and you were like, but I'm wearing white.
That's what I felt. I'm like, I'm going to wear white on Easter, which is light.
Yeah.
But Chelsea's thinking like...
I'm thinking somewhat colorful, like it kind of looked like, I mean, definitely like Daniel did a great job speaking and the message was in no way sad, but the, crowd was very, very dark, almost funeral like clothing.
It's weird. That was a shock to you.
Big shock.
It's so funny because I don't really think about that with Easter and Christmas. I'm just like, well, I guess I'll wear white undershirt with a black leather jacket with sneakers, not even nice sandals, to a big day. Like Easter's a really special day for us, in the church. And I don't know why I didn't think anything of it. So that was a shock for you guys.
I mean, you guys all looked great. We definitely, Chamberlain and I looked at each other like, this is not the vibe that people wear here.
So I don't know what it is about Silicon Valley, but there's not a lot of color.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. Why that is, I have no idea. But tell me I don't really wear a lot of color either.
Yeah.
But I love neutrals. It's just a personal preference, I think.
Yeah, I get that. I'm definitely more of a neutral dresser. Yeah, I have like pastel things. Like that blue dress was like that was like as bright as it gets for my wardrobe.
But she's not wearing like hot pink on a regular basis.
Oh, no.
But you'll wear like, if you're wearing like a t-shirt with Yosemite, if you had an option at the store of blue or white.
I don't like white t-shirts.
Okay,
so if it were gray, I don't know. It would depend. I don't like bright things, but I don't mind color that's muted.
Yeah.
That would be the difference.
You're neutral, but you'll wear like an olive green. Like that is.
I love olive.
I do too.
That's
olive
a good
green
color.
Is cute, but that's neutral. Mm-hmm. So this girl was shocked at Easter because and Chamberlain also was wearing a collared shirt, which also is different.
Yeah.
I mean, when Eden first started, Daniel would wear collared shirts and I think called button ups or button downs. I always forget. Whatever.
Button up, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. We don't have to wear those things really. So, but he was wearing that, and it was so funny because when I saw him wearing that, I was like, this is what every I don't mean this in a bad way, but this is what a lot of the men that Tommy worked with, because Tommy used to work for a company based in Atlanta, Georgia. All of his coworkers wore what Chamberlain wore, that shirt. Yeah, I was like, even Tommy said, he's like, all the guys in Atlanta that I worked with wore, and they look great. I mean, these guys are always put together, very, like, they dress well. Mm-hmm. But here, people wear like t-shirts to work, right? So it's different.
Definitely is different. I would say we're not in touch with all the styles because we primarily wear scrubs in our day-to-day basis.
And that's so fair. And I feel like everyone wishes they could do that. And so good for you guys. So what else shocked you in moving here?
Let me think. Let me look at my list. Oh, I could share my first grocery store experience. Okay, so one, we didn't know where to go as far as groceries go.
Where did you go?
We went to Bargain Outlet to start with because I wanted to go somewhere that was, I guess, affordable, and Bargain Outlet sounded. We didn't know.
Is it grocery outlet?
Okay, grocery outlet. Yes. Mm-hmm. Isn't it grocery Bargain Outlet? There's something.
I think there is bargain. There is something. We're probably a mix of both.
Some combination of those two. So like back in the South, you have Kroger and Publix. And Kroger is like my jam.
Best. I agree.
Publix is overpriced. I'm very like not into the Publix game. But anyway, those are like the primary grocery stores that you know to go to. So we come to the Bay Area and like there's no Kroger or Publix. And so
Safeway is as close to Kroger, but it's not the same.
It's like more Publix prices.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Up. And then we saw Lucky's, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we just kind of were like, I don't know where to go. I didn't see a Walmart at that point, which would have been more of a comfort just because I know Walmart.
Dude, it's wild that you have this, that you process it this way, because I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Tommy went to Walmart the first day he moved here, and this was without me, and it was awful.
Yeah.
He ate like Hot Pockets in the microwave because we had nothing. We had nothing yet, you know? Well, he had nothing. And like a Gatorade. He was like, this is depressing. But he's like, this is the Walmart we're going to have to go to, because we were used to Walmart too. But now like we don't really go there anymore because I don't know.
Venture into other places.
Anyway, so you went to
we went to grocery, Bargain Outlet, some form of that. And we bought a bunch of stuff that, you know, like when you first move somewhere, you have to get the essentials, like cooking, olive oil, all the spices. Like it was a lot more grocery items than I would normally get. And so we had a good amount. So we go to the checkout counter and we're putting it on there. And he's like scanning all the stuff. And he's like, do you want bags? And I was like, I mean, sure. And he was like, well, how many? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, like however many it takes is what I'm thinking. But in my mind, I'm like, he is asking me this for a reason. Like, why else would he care how many? Yep. And so I was like, do they cost money? And Chamberlain's looking at me like, mm-mm. And so the dude's like, you're not from here, are you? And I was like, no, I'm from Georgia. So he's like, okay, well, they're 10 cents each. So like, just how many do you want? And however many, 10 cents each. And so my cheap self, I'm like, well, in my head, I was like, that sounds like it would probably add a lot because I have a lot of groceries. And, California already is like a bit more pricier than Georgia. So I was like, we don't have to have bags. I mean, we'll just carry the stuff.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then also, so we had the cart full of our checked out groceries with 0 bags. It looked ridiculous. No one does that here. Like, you usually bring your bags or you just buy bags. Like, suck it up and buy it.
Right.
So,
but she says she's cheap. I say she's frugal. So,
yeah. Whichever way you want to look at it.
I like it in my mind as frugal.
Yeah, it sounds better.
It does.
And then he also was like, well, since you're not from here, super nice grocery guy, was like, well, do you know that there's a tax on water bottles? Because we had like a case of water bottles. And I was like, no, like, what does that look like? And he was like, well, it's called a CRV tax, and it's basically
5 cents per bottle, right?
I don't even know what it is. I just pay it at this point. But he's like, yeah, whatever you see the price for the water bottles, just add a few dollars onto that.
Yep. So if your water bottles if you get a 24 pack, you're getting 5 cents tax on each of them.
So it adds up a little bit.
Yeah.
But we still bought our water bottles. So yeah, that was just when we got to the car, Chamberlain was like, you really didn't get bags. Like, this is ridiculous.
And you guys had to carry all your groceries to your room.
We lived in a hotel that had a parking garage that we were like 3 stories up. So it was definitely not the best decision to not get grocery bags. But
now so you can bring your bags now.
Yes.
So that actually shocked me moving here too, was the cost of bags, 10 cents each, and CRV tax, 5 cents per plastic bottle you buy, to encourage reusable water bottles, to encourage recycling.
Yeah.
Because they give you the money back if you recycle, but then they kind of make it difficult to recycle too. So it's a lose-lose if you ask me.
The premise is positive. I just didn't know about it. So all my recycled bags that I have in my closet at home, I didn't bring. So, but this time around, I am prepared.
You're gonna recycle? Good.
I have all of my reusable bags.
I love it. Well, it's good because during COVID, actually, they didn't let you bring reusable bags. They charged you for bags. So what they did at Trader Joe's is they made you keep it in your cart, go outside, bag your groceries outside on a table. I was like, I'm paying the 10 cents. I don't even, it's not worth it. I'm like, whatever. But I got into the habit of buying bags now because I always wondered why people would ever pay 10 cents for a bag.
Yeah.
5 years later, I'm like,
here we are.
Whatever. I'm not proud of that because I'm like, I want to save that 10 cents. But sometimes at Target, they'll give you 10 cents off your bill.
Really?
If you bring a bag. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, if the person checking you out, the cashier sees you brought a bag, they'll give you 10 cents off your thing. Some places would do that. Sprouts used to do 10 cents or 5 cents for each bag.
Interesting.
But they stopped doing that.
Yeah, they were losing money.
Also, if you guys are excited that we are bringing on guests on It's a Win-Win and having our amazing friends on the podcast, don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to say that now because I forgot to say it earlier. So make sure you guys subscribe because it does mean so much and it helps our channel grow and get the video a thumbs up. So continuing on the conversation, what is something else that surprised you from moving here?
So I remember this from a conversation we had early on. You were like, oh, where do you guys live? We told her.
I remember we were outside Seven Leaves, I think.
Yeah. And you were like, okay, like, where do you live versus where do you work? And we kind of explained like where we were, and it was like a 20-minute commute. She was like, oh, dang, like that's so far. And in my mind, I'm like, really? Like, I'm used to commuting 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
So 20 minutes was like pretty good. And she was just, I don't know, like you were so shocked.
I was shocked. I'm like, dang, that's far.
Yeah. So I think the term of like Bay Area commuting is a different scale than what it is, at least in like Atlanta area. Mm-hmm. Hardly anyone, unless you're like young, like professional out of college, like no, like I wouldn't say no, but it's very few families living like in Atlanta. There are some like neighborhoods in Atlanta, but it's definitely more expensive. So it's cheaper to live in like the suburbs. So commuting to Atlanta for me was a normal thing that I'd, known of adults doing that their whole life. And then when I became one myself, I did it. Yeah. We had a period of time living closer to Atlanta, but did commute 45 minutes. So that was normal.
That's steep. So the thing I think that's unique for me is I've only ever worked virtually, basically, other than Purdue, which I walked to my work. So that doesn't really count, I don't think. It's like a 5-minute walk. But driving anywhere right now for me, I mean, my commute to church and office, I mean, I literally walk from my bedroom to my living room, which is, I have a tiny apartment. So that's my commute, right? Yeah. And so hearing her do 20 minutes from living in a different city to where she worked, I was like, whoa, that's far. But it's still not far to you.
Yeah, this commute for this new contract will be about 30 minutes. So that was a win for me, I thought.
It is, I would say. And they also came at a time where obviously they were at the COVID vaccination site clinic, right? Where traffic wasn't bad.
That's true.
When they were living here, don't worry, but you're going to be on night shift, so you're going to be good.
Yeah.
I keep reminding her traffic won't be bad. Thankfully, she's not working at like 5 p.m.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
But it won't be. So commuting, like the fact that we view commuting like 20 minutes as far was a shock.
Yeah, definitely a shock. 45 minutes is like a good, like normal for Georgia.
Yeah, well, I love it because Jackie's the same way because they were commuting in Detroit all the time, and Nico still commutes. I think about 40 minutes. I think I forgot. Yeah. Did I say 40? I forgot. Sometimes it changes, obviously, because traffic changes, but he does it all the time, and it's normal.
Super normal.
So commuting.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So I love that you've seen like the beauty in the differences though. Oh, yeah. That's something that I appreciate. It's like, obviously there are things that are better in the Midwest, better in the South than there are in California, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Right. And so you focus on the positives, and your contract ended and then you came back. Mm-hmm. So why, like what kept bringing you back?
Yeah, I would say finding our community at Eden, people like Sopha and Tommy, Rachel, Phil, Angela. There's like so many that I could name that have been impactful for us. and just the adventure that we've experienced here, and I guess the unexpectedness of finding such like sweet, authentic community. And it was a piece of us that was missing. And we have our family back home, obviously, which we love and adore, but we got plugged in an unexpected way. We sought it out, I guess, but it was very like minimal expectations, I think. It was kind of random. I had posted something on Facebook about us moving to San Jose, and a mutual friend that I hadn't really, connected with in multiple years said, hey, like, we want to invite you to the church that we go to out here. You should check it out. And so that was kind of what got us to like check it out. And we had, more, I would say less expectation for it being like this awesome experience, not because, of anything.
But you just don't know what you're getting into.
Right.
You're like, this could be awful. This could be amazing. I don't know.
Right. We were coming to a completely new place. And sometimes I think the mindset of Georgia can view California as definitely a different place.
For sure.
And
I think the rest of the world can easily view California as like, oh, even my own family, they're just be like, because they're like, oh yeah, we're just living life. Where life is back to normal, and I'm like, I'm on lockdown.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
definitely
it's
is different.
So there are a lot of differences, right? Just the way it is out here. It's different. It's super populated.
Yeah.
Different people, different cultures from a lot of different places make it a unique place.
Yeah.
Right? Versus
Super
some
unique.
states, it's like, I don't know. People stay there a long time.
Yeah.
Like where we live is so transient, and there's so many people in and out. And so what is the culture of the Bay Area? It's different. So I get why you were like, I don't know what I'm getting into. I went into Eden literally knowing nothing either.
Yeah.
And so it's so funny how Eden is what brought us both. Like, I don't know, there's something that keeps bringing Tommy and I, not back, but wanting us to stay.
Right.
And like plant roots here. And it's an uncomfortable feeling sometimes of like, why do we keep wanting to stay here?
Yeah.
There's so many reasons to not, but there's so many reasons to stay, and community is the same reason for us.
Right.
So it's so funny how our family's so far, but friends can really help like fill that void, right?
And it was like we were from Atlanta, born and raised. Period of time I moved to Florida for 5 years, but I was young. Like that was not like fun fact. So Atlanta was all we had known, and I think for us, like just the two of us moving across the country to California, doing something that was like, like we were excited, and I knew it would be full of adventure, but there was a lot of unknowns too. And the fact that it was something that we both thrived in and loved, and felt like God had just opened doors for us that we didn't even, ask for. And I think that made us want to come back and just see what more there is for us here. And
I love it.
We just love it here.
That gives me like goosebumps, and it's so, I love it. I never realized the similarities in our stories, but there are a lot. Like we're obviously very different people, right? Different cultures, came from different states, so many differences. But I don't know, God continues to show me that like these two people, like, it's crazy. You guys met in middle school. We met in middle school. You guys ended up getting married. We ended up getting married. And then you guys took a leap of faith, a huge leap of faith, taking a travel nursing contract in a place they'd never been to ever, right?
Yeah.
Never.
No, never been to
us
California.
either. Never been to California either. Started Soul Gold. Tommy took a job. You guys took this job. Checked out this random place called Eden. And now we became really good friends. And I feel like this is like a friendship for a lifetime.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem just like, I don't know. When you meet people and you're just like, cool, nice to meet you. Maybe hang out once and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just naturally, I feel like we filled in a void that we both didn't realize we needed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's different when you meet friends who have a lot in common with you, but like the fact that she wasn't from California, I don't know. There was something that I could relate to her with.
Yeah.
Right. And it was comforting to me, but then we could both see the beauty. Like we appreciate the mountains here.
Yeah, so much.
But people that are from here, there's nothing wrong with people that are from here. I just want to say that we love you guys, obviously. But you don't see the beauty of the mountains and the small things that I didn't get in Indiana. I can't speak for Georgia.
Georgia has mountains for sure. We went to
guys have
college
better-
in
yeah.
North Georgia, so we definitely were around mountains. However, I will say,
Like Yosemite and stuff,
yeah,
Like
it was
Tahoe.
the grand scale of like California or just out west in general.
Yeah.
I'm not to discredit like the Southeast. It's a beautiful place.
Exactly. I'm like, we're not discrediting where we came from.
It's just
It's just
different.
different.
It's grander.
Yeah.
grander. I don't even know if that's a word.
That is.
More grand?
More grand.
What's more correct?
Yeah.
So I just adventuring out here, going to places like Lake Tahoe or Yosemite or Sequoia or...
Ask her about all the things. She's done more in California than people who have lived here their whole life and people like me who've lived here for 5 years. And I can't wait to like do Big Sur with her this time around because we are living it up this contract, you guys. We are taking advantage of all the time we can have together because time is limited, you know, and life is short. So I'm like, let's not waste this.
Yes.
So they're back.
So much to do here.
And so community is a huge part of what brings you back here.
Yes.
I love it. And let's go ahead and end today's podcast with one piece of advice that you would give to our It's a Win-Win family.
Yeah.
When it comes to just taking steps of faith and moving across the country or, you know, starting new jobs. I mean, you're literally starting a new job soon in a place that you've never worked in, like a new hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I'd say for us moving across the country, I just wanted to find people to surround ourselves with that are going to be positive influences. And I think Chamberlain and I both were like, you know, we have each other and that's great. I love my husband. Like he's
our
my best friend and the person I want to do all the things with. But I will say it is positive to have other people in your circle too. And just bring different perspectives in. And so I think for us, though we, you know, didn't expect to get involved in Eden in the way that we did, we wanted to find people in whatever capacity that looked like. Yeah. So for going to a new place where you know 0 people, find your people. They are there.
Yeah. And you have to have the eyes to see it, though, right? And you have to have the heart, like, to want that.
For sure.
Yeah.
It does take effort. I mean, you
joined
a Zoom small group that we were like, oh, this could be like, you know,
it could be weird.
Really awkward and full of people that like we don't, you know, mesh with because we're just like, you know.
Well, you're also not from here.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like a leap of faith. It was like joining a group that we had zero idea about.
You didn't even know. Like, I think you said you chose Midweek Connect, which is the name of the group Tommy and I led because we were married, right?
Yeah, I could.
And surfing.
Yes. And Tommy's name was under the surf group.
Yes.
With Daniel. And so I was like, well, I feel like if he's into surfing, Chamberlain could relate to him because he's outdoorsy and we like both like that. But as far as like guy to guy, I feel like that would be a good fit.
Yeah.
And then I had emailed, I emailed
you, I think.
Yes, about the drive-through service. So I had seen your name. Yes. So that was before we joined the group, I think.
I think I have my picture in my email signature, so you could scope me out at least somewhat, right? It's important to scope it out. Because I'm like, I have no idea. You know how Google has like tiny images on contracts? Oh, yeah. I don't know if you had that, but I was like,
no, I did. I like zoomed in.
Yeah, you have to zoom in because you're like, who am I working with here?
Yeah.
But I like, my heart for community is so strong, even with people I don't even know yet. And I was like, well, I'm inviting them to this drive-in. They have no idea. I don't know. I don't even know them, but I'm like, hey, you guys want to come?
Yeah.
And you came.
We did. The power of invitation is so strong. Yeah. I would say that's like something I don't think it's ever impacted me so much because I've grown up in an area that I was the one, you know, at church inviting people, you know, like connecting. And when the roles get reversed and you're the new girl or guy, it's definitely a different and more like humbling experience to be like, dang, I don't know anyone and I hope people are nice. And so it's huge to see that role and how it's impacted my life and my husband's life. And just like, I know for like you and Tommy, you might not like hear those stories a lot of people just being so genuinely thankful, but you guys are the ones that like connected us and put in that legwork that made us want to come back.
That's crazy.
So we love you guys.
I love you guys more. That's so special. And I think about my friend Rick, you know, that invited me to Eden, had the heart of invitation, had the heart of connecting because he knew I had no friends. He was my first friend, my only friend. And he's like married. And I'm just like this girl who, I don't know, Rick is a little older than me. He's maybe 32. I'm sorry, Rick, if I got that wrong. But he's somewhere around that 32 age. I don't know. And I was 22 when he met me. So if anything, he's probably thinking I'm like a child. You know, to me, when I see 21, 22-year-olds, I'm like, well, we have nothing in common.
Right.
But I met Rick through business. And I don't know, there was something where he's like, hey, I see this girl has no friends. Let me introduce her to my friends. Yeah. I met his mom, his wife. And I'm like, I felt community, right? And it's like, I'm forever grateful for Rick, because without Rick, I would not have Chelsea, you know? And it's just like, who is the next person that's going to be? I don't know.
So cool.
And it's just cool how God works. That's the only explanation I have for it. Because what if I never started Soul Gold? Probably wouldn't know you.
Yeah.
You know?
It's wild.
It's so crazy. So your piece of advice is to surround yourself with people.
Yeah.
Find community, because we're all built for community.
For sure. And community looked different. Like we were on an online Zoom group. So my idea of community.
And you don't even use Zoom normally, right? You were saying.
I had created a Zoom account because of this group. Like,
because you're at a vaccination clinic.
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't need to use Zoom.
We don't do virtual. Like nursing did not ever become virtual.
Yeah, you
I mean,
can't
maybe it did some telehealth
telemedicine
things,
or whatever.
but I was in an ER back in Georgia, so things didn't stop. So the virtual realm of COVID didn't hit home for us. So
that's, man, isn't that so crazy?
Yeah.
But like somehow, I mean, we know how, but she downloaded Zoom, joined our Zoom group, which could have been, we also had no idea. So I was nervous because I wanted them to like it. And I'm like, I have an opportunity here to make people feel welcome and loved in a place where they don't have anybody.
Yeah.
And so I kind of felt like it was I just felt very called to like be there. And it wasn't in a superficial fake way of like, let me try to be friends with these people. It took zero effort to like connect. So that just made it even sweeter. And so now we have lifelong friends. Yeah. I love it. Well, I love you, Chelsea.
Love you too.
And I'm so glad we finally got to do this podcast, because she's starting work soon and she's had a busy, schedule. So I'm like, I asked her, she said yes. So make sure you guys show some love to Chelsea in the comments, share this podcast, like it if you guys like us having guests, and follow Chelsea on social media. And are you a private profile?
I am.
She'll deny you if she doesn't know you. So we don't have to drop your Instagram if you don't want to. But I don't know. We'll see. If you guys want to connect with her, if you know her in real life, make sure to follow
connect
her.
with me.
Yeah, on Instagram. And then if she approves, yay for you.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you guys, thank you so much for watching. It's a Win-Win podcast, and we'll see you next week. And we love you. Tommy loves you guys too. He's right behind the camera today. He'll be back next week, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.